The Passover and the festival of unleavened bread were just 2 days away. And the chief priests and the teachers of the law were busy plotting and scheming how they might arrest and kill Jesus. Oh, but not during the festival, they said, otherwise the people may riot. Whilst Jesus was reclining at the table at the house of Simon the leper, a woman carrying an alabaster jar filled with expensive perfume made out of pure nard broke it and poured it over his head. Some people stood nearby, became indignant at this, and they said, "Oh, why this waste of perfume? It could have been sold for more than half a year's wages and the money given to the poor." And they began to rebuke the woman. "Leave her alone," Jesus said. Why are you bothering this poor woman? She's done a beautiful thing for me. The poor you will always have, and you can help the poor whenever you want. But you'll not always have me. This woman prepared me for my burial. Truly, I tell you, wherever the gospel is preached throughout the whole world, what this woman has done will be told in honor of her. Then Judas, one of the 12, went to the chief priests and agreed to betray Jesus. They were delighted to hear this, and they offered to pay him some money. So Judas looked for an opportunity to hand Jesus over. It was the first day of the festival. And whilst they were reclining at the table, Jesus said, "Truly I tell you, one of you will betray me." They were all deeply saddened at this, and one by one they said, "Surely not I, Lord?" "It is one of the 12, he said, "one who dips the bread in the bowl and eats with me. The Son of Man will go, as it is written. But woe to that man who betrays the Son of Man. It would be better for him if he had never been born at all." Then whilst they were eating, Jesus took some bread, and after giving thanks, he said, "Take it, eat. This is my body." And then taking some wine, he said, "This is my blood of the new covenant, poured out for many. Truly I tell you, I will not drink again of the fruit of the vine until I drink it new in the kingdom of God." And then after singing a hymn, they went up to the Mount of Olives. And Jesus said, "You will all fall away. For it is written, I will strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. But after I rise, I will go ahead of you to Galilee." Peter spoke up. "Even if all fall away, I will not. Truly I tell you, today, yes, even tonight, before the cock crows twice, you yourself will disown me 3 times. But Peter insisted emphatically, "Even if I had to die with you, I would never disown you." And all the rest said the same. They went to a place called Gethsemane. There Jesus told his disciples to sit and wait whilst he prayed. He took Peter, James, and John with him, and he became deeply distressed. And he said, "Oh, my soul is overwhelmed to the point of death." Oh, sit and stay and pray. And then walking a little further along, he fell to his knees and cried out, Abba! Father! All things are possible for you. Take this cup from me. But not my will be done. Your will be done. And then returning to his disciples, he found them asleep. Simon, are you sleeping? Could you not keep watch for 1 hour? Stay awake and pray so that you do not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. And then after returning a second time, he found them asleep. And they did not know what to say, for their eyes were heavy. A third time he returned to them. Are you still sleeping and resting? Enough. The hour has come for the Son of Man to be handed over to sinners. Rise. Here comes my betrayer. And as Jesus was still speaking, Judas approached with a crowd armed with clubs and swords sent from the chief priests and the teachers of the law. Now the betrayer had organized a signal with them. The man I kiss is the man you want. Arrest him and take him under guard. And then approaching Jesus, he said, Rabbi, and kissed him. Immediately, they seized Jesus, and one of the disciples nearby drew out a sword and chopped off the ear of the servant of the high priest. Am I leading a rebellion? Jesus said, that you come armed with swords and clubs. Every day you saw me teaching in the temple and you did not arrest me. But the scriptures must be fulfilled. And then everybody deserted him and fled. And there was a young man wearing nothing but a tunic garment who followed Jesus. And when they seized him, he ran away into the night, leaving his garment behind. They bound Jesus and took him to the high priest. And all the chief priests and teachers of the law came together. Simon followed at a distance, and he began to warm himself by the fire next to the temple guards. The chief priests and the whole of the Sanhedrin were looking for evidence to condemn Jesus to death. They could not find any. Many gave their testimonies, but their statements would not agree. Some even gave false witness, saying, we heard him say that he would destroy the temple made by human hands, and then after 3 days build a new temple not made by human hands. But even their statements did not agree. Then the high priest himself spoke up. Are you not going to answer? What are these testimonies they're bringing against you? But Jesus remained silent. So once again the high priest spoke up. Are you the Messiah, the Son of the Most Blessed One? I am, and you will see me sitting at the right side of my Father, coming on the clouds in his glory. At this, the high priest tore his clothes, and he said, what more evidence do we need? You have heard this blasphemy? What do you think? And one by one, they all condemned him worthy of death. They blindfolded him, struck him in the face, saying, prophesy, and spat on him. Afterwards, the temple guards took him outside and beat him. While Simon was in the courtyard entrance, servant girl of the high priest, upon seeing him, took a closer look. You also were with that Nazarene? But Peter denied it, saying, I don't know what you or understand what you are talking about. And then he moved into the opening of the courtyard. And when the servant girl saw him there, she said, this fella, he's one of them as well. But again, Simon denied it. A little while later, those standing nearby said, surely you are one of them, for you are a Galilean. But Simon called down curses, and he said, I do not know that man that you are talking about. Immediately, the cock crowed. For a second time, and Simon remembered the word Jesus had spoken to him before the cock crows twice. You yourself will disown me 3 times. And then he went out and wept. Very early the next morning, the high priest, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law made their plans. They bound Jesus and took him to Pilate. Are you the king of the Jews? You have said so. Then the chief priests began to accuse him of many things, but Jesus remained silent. So once again, Pilate said, are you not going to answer? See the many things that they are accusing you of. But Jesus still remained silent, and this amazed Pilate. Now, it was the custom of the festival to release a prisoner. And there was a prisoner in jail by the name of Barabbas, a rebel. He had committed murder. The people went to Pilate and asked if he would do as the custom required. Do you want me to release to you the king of the Jews? For he knew the religious leaders had handed him over out of self-interest, but they rallied up the crowds to shout for Barabbas. What then do you want me to do with the one that you call the king of the Jews? Crucify him, they cried out. Why? What crime has he committed? But they cried out even longer, crucify him! Wanting to satisfy the crowds, Pilate released Barabbas, and he had Jesus flogged and led out to be crucified.